Benjack Phillips and James Beaumont had a lovely tussle in that first heat. Let's see how the second heat turns out. Right, so confirmation, folks, that 108 FM Radio Killarney is up and running. So if you cannot hear us properly and you are around the circuit, you can hear this announcement. Car radio, portable, cell phone, whatever. Turn 108 FM is the place to be. That looks like it could be, judging from what I can see out the window, that is Donovan Ramsey's car. That is pulling out of this one. So Donovan Ramsey having trouble just before you go into that left-hand kink that goes onto the main straight, the Porsche Club straight. So we will be down a car in this one.
But we saw in the first race, he started on pole, but he dropped all the way to the back end of the field. So there was obviously some sort of terminal issue to begin with.
Which means there's two cars out now. Obviously him and Ricky Anderson did not take to the grid as well.
Yeah, as far as I heard, he lost fourth gear. As they get underway, the lights are off. And they make their way down to Holes Hook. And Kelly Fletcher's got the run on Joshua Smith at the moment. Joshua Smith on the inside. As we watch now, a stall there from Cyril Somerville. But they make their way into the corner. And you can see Wynand de Ridder sitting there in fifth. And Benjack Phillips is now fighting with Joshua Smith as they leave Holes Hook, go down the Joubert Straight and head into Castrol Corner.
Well, Josh will want to make it 2 out of 2, that's for sure. He sits out there in P2 at this point in time. Kelly Fletcher is leading them out of Castrol Corner. So Fletcher, that was the early pace setter in race 1 before she was overtaken by Josh as they work through Damstep Ease, once again setting that early pace with Joshua right there in that second position and closing right up onto the gearbox of the Kelly Fletcher outfit as they make their way through Saddle Sweep and down the Killarney Straight.
But look at this, Frank. It's nose to tail once again. Joshua Smith, the youngster, we saw how good of a performance he put in race 1. Now in race 2, he's ready to battle again. He said he wished there was a little bit more cars out front, and we don't see the likes of Donovan Ramsey up front. We don't see Andre Lariche up front like we usually do. But now as we watch them go out of Castrol Corner, your front two lead away. Then we see Benjack Phillips, James Beaumont and Wynand de Ridder.
Yeah, that's the subtotal of the field as they work their way across the line and into turn number 1 into Holes Hook. And there was a tenth of a second between Smith and Fletcher when they came to followed there by Phillips, de Ridder and Beaumont. Remember, Anderson and Ramsey is out of this one. Cyril Somerville is still in there, but he's 16.6 seconds behind Beaumont as we watch the two leaders work their way out of Castrol Corner with Phillips, de Ridder and Beaumont right in there as well. That's those 5 cars you see on your shot working through the Lundstem kink and into Damps.
We didn't speak about it, but Donovan Ramsey made his way back out onto circuit in the Liqui Moly car.
Oh, awesome.
And he's back at the very rear end of the field, so I think he's out of contention at the moment. But there you see our front two, Joshua Smith and Kelly Fletcher, the 83 and the 22, fighting it for the lead at the moment. They are quite a bit closer than they were before. I think Kelly Fletcher's maybe itches or whatever that she managed to scratch now coming into Heat 2 have been scratched, and now she's right on the gearbox of Joshua Smith. I know Joshua Smith was very, very proud and very happy after race 1. And now Joshua Smith putting in another brilliant performance so far with 1 lap in the books. Then we see Benjack Phillips sitting there in second place. He was fighting Kelly Fletcher come the end of last race. And then Wynand de Ridder and James Beaumont are fighting there for 4th overall.
Yeah, that is that fight we're watching there going into turn number 1. That is the two leading contestants that's making their way out of turn 1. It's Smith and Fletcher, 0.4 of a second between the two of them, working their way out of Holes Hook. Benjack Phillips is there in a lonely 3rd position. But Wynand de Ridder and James Beaumont, they're having their own little fight out there for P4 as they work their way through Castrol.
Yep, out of Castrol they go. That very slow right-hander and very long right-hander puts a lot of strain when you're turning to the right, and then you jump straight to the left-hand kink through Landstem and then down into a slightly banked right-hander of Dam's Dip. And there you see our leaders going through Sorrel Sweep, the double right-handed, or double apex right-hander rather, very, very fast corner into the headwind. That will make you slide a little bit wide if you get the wind hit your face a little bit off. But there Joshua Smith still leading out ahead of Kelly Fletcher. Now the gap's widening once again. It's probably going to be closer to a second come to the line, but there we watch them go through Pertamina Fostron.
Yeah, he's slowly but surely edging away there from Kelly Fletcher, a lady that also rides horses as well and does a bit of horse jumping. So she multitasks when it comes to sport. Across the start-finish line they go. It is Smith, it's Fletcher, it is Benjack Phillips and Beaumont. Beaumont has now got his nose ahead there of De Ridder. Yes, he has, and he is a tenth of a second ahead of De Ridder when they start this last time, and both of them are closing up onto the back end of Benjack Phillips.
I think for all three of them, the goal is to get on the podium, and the last step of the podium is looking right, or they can see him right in front of them, is Benjack Phillips. As look at that, diving on the rear end of Beaumont is De Ridder in that number 10 car. He'll come out of the corner a little bit wider than Beaumont does, and that'll set Beaumont up for a good run into Dam's Dip. As we watch them go 3, 4, and 5, Phillips, Beaumont, and De Ridder as your leaders now go through Sorrel Sweep.
That's P1 and 2 through turn 4, Sorrel Sweep. That's a double right-hander. Bejo Trustees, Formula Libre, with 7 more laps to go, including the one that they're on. As here we go, that is 3, 4, and 5. That's Phillips, Beaumont, and De Ridder. That's working their way down that back straight. There we just see them heading towards turn number 5. Fortunate you keep an eye on the 2 leaders on your screen. That is Smith and Fletcher sitting first and second. Here they come down the home straight. And let's have a look. What is the gap between the 2 of them when they cross the line? And there is 1.2 seconds between the 2 of them. But this is on Beaumont. Beaumont has now got his nose ahead. Beaumont is ahead of Phillips and De Ridder, and there is nothing between the 3 of them as they head into turn 1 into holes.
Yep, down into holes, and De Ridder still just sitting on the back of those 2. It's Beaumont and Phillips now fighting for the podium position. And I think as soon as Beaumont got away from De Ridder, he knew he could fight Phillips. And he managed to get past Phillips in that number 17 car. And now Phillips going wide. That's going to give De Ridder the chance to get up alongside into Landstem, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, he tried, but he never got his nose ahead there, as he still sits there third in that group, but back to the front 2. That he's busy clearing away from the rest. As a matter of fact, Joshua Smith is getting away from Kelly Fletcher. It was 1.2 when they started this lap. They are now working their way across out of turn number 5, out of Fostron corner. There the 2 leaders go, working their way out of Fostron. And yes, the gap is getting bigger and bigger between Smith and Fletcher. Currently it was 1.2. Let's see what it is at the end of this lap.
Coming to the line, we'll see the lap come by. The gap now 1.7 seconds and a fastest lap of a 1:24.602 for Joshua Smith. But look at this battle once again. Still a 3-way battle for the last spot on the podium. At the moment, it's Phillips ahead of Beaumont, ahead of De Ridder. There's 2 tenths, maybe even 4 tenths between the 3 of them. As now you've got to take some sort of evasive action, Frankie.
Well, Beaumont was having a look at Phillips there to try and move up from P4 into P3, but he needs to be careful. Oh, they're diving across each other's bows. In trying to attack Phillips, he must also keep in mind that Wynand De Ridder in P5 is right there on his heels. So if he fails to make the move on Phillips, he could lose that position to De Ridder. So De Ridder at this stage got the best seat in the house in the fight between the 3 of them.
And you can see, I'm pretty sure Phillips is just thinking to myself, let those 2 battle so I can get a definite 3rd place, which is currently what's happening. And I think he took 3rd place in race 1. So hopefully that'll keep him in 3rd place for the day. As we watch now to the leaders going into Pertamina Fostron. There's 5 laps to go, coming up on 4. And still, Joshua Smith with your fastest lap of a 24.602. he is just reeling away of Kelly Fletcher.
Yeah, and it was 1.2, it went up to 1.7. Now let's have a look and see as P1 and 2 cross the start-finish line, and it is 1.9, so 0.2 of a second there. Now, here we go, Ben-Jack Phillips. And here comes Beaumont. Beaumont has a look up on the inside. He has a look up on the inside of Phillips. The Ritter is inside there as well. Is he going to make it stick? Yes, he does. And James Beaumont takes that spot away. They both go wide, and the Ritter will nail them both. Wynand de Ritter nails them both through a whole zook as they went in very hot and very deep.
Yep, very much so, Frankie. And that was the perfect opportunity for Wynand de Ritter to dive up the inside as both of them went wide. I said in my head that I think Phillips and Beaumont are going to run in too hot, and that's going to give de Ritter the perfect opportunity to slide on through, and that's exactly what he did. Now he'll let those two hot-headed ones behind him fight it out so he can get away as far as possible.
Well, de Ritter will say, okay, fine, I've got this, but will I be caught by Ben-Jack and by James? I'll have a look and see, but back to the two front runners that is heading through. There's a back marker. That is the 95 car of Ramsey. He is a back marker. Right behind him are the two leaders, P1 and 2, Smith and Fletcher. It was 1.2, it was 1.7, it was 1.9. It will be over 2 seconds now. As a matter of fact, it is going to be 2.7. That's a big, big gap between Joshua Smith and Kelly Fletcher.
Yep, Joshua Smith took almost a second over that lap as we watch the rest of the grid come through. De Ritter still holding it out, 12 seconds behind the front two. But look at that, he's slightly pulled a couple car lengths. Gap as going very wide, a snap and a spin for Ben-Jack Phillips. Leaves Ben-Jack stranded. He manages to get back onto the circuit, but he's out of contention now. Now it's these two still fighting for third place, but Beaumont is still a little bit far away. And Phillips obviously even further away with 3 laps or 2.5 to go.
Oh, that's what I was saying earlier on. Are they going to catch me? They did catch him, and I think a little bit of pressure maybe, or trying a touch too hard, and that has cost Wynand de Ritter big time, because now it's on between Beaumont and Phillips for that third spot. So where are our leaders? I'm trying to pick them up around here. They're heading into turn number 5 into Pertamina Fostron. They've got a back marker that is stuck there. That is Somerville. P1 and P2 with a back marker, Cyril Somerville just there with them.
Now we see, has the gap grown any more? It should do. We watch as Kelly Fletcher comes across the line. It was 2.7, it's now 3.2, just under 3.2. And I see that Joshua Smith improved his own personal lap time by a good couple of tenths. As there's Somerville at the end of the field. There's Ramsey. Ramsey's about to come and overtake Somerville for 6th place. But there's your leader, Joshua Smith, with a 1:24.190. A brilliant lap by that youngster with now just under 2 laps to go.
Yeah, 1:24.190 there for Joshua Smith. And he's not going to be caught by anybody today, that's for sure, as we watch him work his way through Damps. Up the Tigerberg Straight he goes towards the double right-hander saddle sweep with a lap and just under a lap and a half to go as he and Fletcher work their way down the back straight, the Kalani Straight, towards Pertamina Fostron.
This has been an absolutely demanding run by Joshua Smith, and I'm sure Jason Smith's going to be super chuffed with his son. I think the whole Smith outfit and SNS Racing, the sponsor of Joshua Smith, are going to be super pleased with these results. The Dolphin Engineering car of Kelly Fletcher still sitting there in 2nd place. The gap is probably going to be widened by quite a bit as they come to the line to start the final lap. We'll see now it was 3.1. It is now 3.3, so not much of a difference did Joshua Smith take out of that lap, but still running 3.5 seconds ahead of Kelly Fletcher as this battle comes to the line so they can start their final lap.
Yeah, that fight heading down. Oh, there's a bit of smoke coming out the back. Oh, there's a lot of smoke coming out the back of one of those cars there. That's Beaumont. There's smoke coming out the back of Beaumont. There's a lot of smoke on the final lap, pumping out the back of the 21 car of James Beaumont. He was 1.4 behind the Ritter. So, yeah, he's gone off in Castrol Corner.
There you see the dust fly up, and maybe as Cyril Somerville slams on the brakes as as Beaumont jumped across the track, I wonder if there was maybe a little bit of steam or water or something on his tires that made him just go straight on. But that was definitely looking like a little bit of white or blue smoke coming down, as there's your leaders, Frankie, coming to the final corner.
Yeah, we'll check and see what's going on with James Beaumont's car, but that is the man that sits in P1 on your screen, working out a Pertamina fast. And you can slow, well, you can't slow it right down because Kelly Fletcher is right there as they work their way towards a checkered flag, and he's slowed down. He has slowed right down, and Fletcher will come home in P1. Kelly Fletcher will come home in P1, 1.3 seconds ahead of Joshua Smith that finishes in second. He was pretty slow coming out of turn 5, out of Fostron corner. Wow, with the Ritter finishing there in third, which means Benjack Phillips will come home in P4.
There he comes across the line now is James Beaumont. Benjack Phillips was still a lap down after his spin. There he crosses the line. But I am still in awe that something must have happened out of that final corner.
Something happened out there. I don't know what happened. Either way, it's Fletcher P1, Smith second. And yes, the Ritter did come home in that third position, as I initially said, with Beaumont and Phillips finishing in P4 and 5.
Smith's now stopped just behind the snap change Boma into Castrol corner. The car's come to a stop, and there must be something wrong with that car, especially if it came and almost gave up the ghost coming to the line. But I saw